welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another meals for maximum weight loss video. I'm going to be showing you guys a full day's worth of super simple, easy to put together meals. This is how I ate to lose 70 pounds, and it is also the way that I eat to maintain my weight. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, make sure you follow me there because I'm always posting recipes and food and lifestyle inspiration that I don't have videos for here. So make sure you check me out there. Also, make sure you guys check out the description box because that's where I'm going to link all of these recipes for you guys. I also link things that I think you guys will ask me a lot about, or that you do ask me a lot about, like the multivitamin I take, the air fryer I use, things like that. All right, so today I'll be going over some of the basic rules to follow for successful weight loss on a plant-based diet. Okay, so the three basic rules for weight loss on a plant-based diet are very simple. Number one, eat whole, unprocessed plant foods, no refined or processed junk foods. Two, keep the added fat low or completely eliminate it. You do want to completely eliminate the use of oil. And three, and probably the most helpful tool out of all of these, is to employ the 50-50 plate method. Now, I learned about this from Dr. John McDougall's books, and I will link those for you guys below, but this is really where the magic happens. The 50-50 plate method is really simple. All you're gonna do is fill half your plate with non-starchy vegetables and the other half with starch by visual volume. Now, all you're doing is reducing the overall calorie density of your meal by replacing half of your meal with the lowest calorie dense foods, which are non-starchy vegetables. Now, what you want to do is you want to eat your non-starchy vegetables first and then move to your starch. And if you're hungry, go back for seconds, go back for thirds, and just serve yourself the same way, and always start with your veggies first. So remember, to be the most successful with weight loss on a plant-based diet, it really is important to keep the fat extremely low or cut out the added fat, at least during weight loss, and use the 50-50 plate. And as far as snacking goes, if you need a snack, grab a snack, just keep it simple. You want to keep it to fresh or frozen fruit, fresh vegetables with oil-free hummus, and you definitely want to stay away from crackers and chips and focus on real whole food. When you focus on real whole food and you keep the fat low and you use the 50-50 plate, this enables you to eat to fullness and eat intuitively and not have to count calories. Alright guys, so for these roasted vegetables, I'm just going to start off by cutting up this gorgeous bell pepper. I already have about 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms that I have rinsed off. And so now I'm just going to grab these 2 zucchinis and I'm going to chop these up as well. And I know this looks like a ton of vegetables, and I do eat a lot, so don't feel like you have to eat as much as me. But this does cook down quite a bit, and if I have any left over, I just save it for the next day. And then the last thing I'm going to do is slice up some onion because I love roasted onion in this mix. Alright, so now that I have everything chopped up, I'm just going to put it all into the basket of my air fryer, and then I'm going to season it and I'm going to roast it. Okay, so I am of course going to put garlic salt on here, and I have noticed a few comments complaining about my garlic salt use and that I don't seem to use much else, and that is accurate. I love garlic salt. So then I just am gonna put some nutritional yeast on top and then give them a good toss, and then I'm gonna throw them in the air fryer. So I just pop them in, and I usually air fry them on 425 to 450 for anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. We'll just kind of keep an eye on them and see how it goes. All right, so while the vegetables are in the air fryer, I'm just gonna get my oatmeal ready. So I've showed you guys this before, but I like to make my oatmeal ahead of time. These are just steel cut oats, and I cook a bunch in the Instapot for the week, and then I just cut them up into portions for the day. So you can, of course, make your oatmeal fresh every day. I'm just lazy, so I just throw it in the pot like this, and then I just add a little water to it and kind of mix it up, and then I'm just going to throw it on the stove and let it heat up. So while my oatmeal is heating up, I'm just going to dice up some mango. I like to just get some cubes in it, and I may use half a mango. I may use a whole mango. Usually just depends on how hungry I feel or if the mango is bruised at all. Just be careful cutting your mango. I'm sure there are safer ways to cut it. Don't cut your hand. But I just like to cut up these little sections and then scoop them out with my spoon. And then I'm just gonna get one banana diced up. I really like having little pieces of banana in my oatmeal because that's what makes it sweet for me, and that's how I was able to like cut out all the brown sugar and maple syrup I used to add to my oatmeal. So now I'm just gonna put the reheated oatmeal into my fancy little coconut bowl here. And then I'm gonna add a little coconut extract, and that's how I get like the coconut flavor without adding all of the coconut milk. But I definitely stayed away from the canned coconut milk during weight loss because it is so high in fat. And then I just add in my mango. So now I'm just gonna add in my banana and then it'll be good to go. For lunch, I'm just gonna steam up some frozen asparagus. Like, yes, fresh asparagus is like way better and frozen gets kind of limp and a little weird, but I gotta keep it simple and I gotta keep it easy, so frozen it is. So to make this super simple gravy, I'm gonna start by chopping up this little shallot. And then I'm gonna chop up a handful of sage. I just love sage in this gravy. I feel like it gives it so much flavor. Now this gravy is so simple, and you can make it once and keep it in the fridge and reheat it for a couple days. It's really good over vegetables and especially good over potatoes. Alright, so I have heated up this saucepan and now I'm just going to saute the shallots and the sage together. So I'm just going to throw them into my hot pot. And then I'm just going to add a little splash of water to help it cook down. So I'm just going to cook this down for a few minutes until the shallots are nice and soft. Alright, so apparently I forgot to turn on my camera to show you what I did. So what I have done is I then added 2 cups of water to the pot, and then I added a few teaspoons of just some vegan chicken bouillon or veggie bouillon, whatever you can find. I have not been able to find one that does not have a little bit of oil in it, but really you guys, like, it is not going to affect your weight loss if a little bit of the bouillon that you're using has a little bit of oil in it. But do what you're comfortable with, do what makes you happy. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and then I'm gonna mix in a 1/4 cup of cold water with a few tablespoons of cornstarch, and that's gonna help thicken the gravy. All right, so now that the broth is boiling, I'm just gonna add in the cornstarch water and let it simmer for another minute or two, and you can see that like it immediately starts to thicken. And that's it, guys. It is done, and it is a really flavorful, quick and easy gravy to be able to pour over your vegetables and potatoes. All right, and so for my starch, I'm just gonna have a couple of these small potatoes that I have already steamed up. I always steam a bunch of potatoes up at the beginning of the week, so all I have to do is reheat them. So these are already heated up. Now I'm not gonna go through the effort of making mashed potatoes because it involves more steps and more cleanup. So I'm perfectly happy just like mashing them up right here. I will of course probably add a little garlic salt and then pour my gravy on top. And then I'm gonna add all of my steamed asparagus so that I have my nice 50-50 plate. And remember guys, you always want to start with your veggies first. That way you're filling up on the lowest calorie dense food first. And then I just pour my gravy on top, and I'm gonna put it on top of my potatoes and on top of my asparagus. And I decided to throw on a steamed corn on the cob. We keep a big bag of these in the freezer and then just steam them up when we want some. So making bean soup is seriously the easiest thing in the world. I do start by soaking my beans overnight. I try to soak them for around 24 hours, but 12 hours as a minimum. This really helps reduce the phytic acid so that you don't have as much gas and bloating from eating beans. So the next morning I drain the beans and then I rinse them really well.
Then I'm gonna add them to my crock pot. You can do this in an Instapot, but my kids swear that they taste better when I make them in the crock pot. So I'm just gonna add a bunch of water, and then I add a big tablespoon of garlic powder and onion powder. All right, and then I add a can of these pickled jalapenos. Guys, these are so good, and it makes the flavor of this soup incredible. So I add all of the juice, and then I like to take out about half of the jalapenos. If it was just me and my husband eating this, I would add the whole can, but my kids are really kind of weenies about things being even a little spicy, so I just add about half of the jalapenos just to give it really good flavor, and then it's not too spicy that my kids can't eat it. So then I'm just gonna cook it on high for 10 to 11 hours. So this is something you definitely want to start first thing in the morning. So then once the beans are done, I'm just gonna move them over into my blender. I'll probably have to do this in like 2 separate batches. So put the beans in, and then I'm gonna start putting in the liquid from the beans. And you can put in as much liquid or as little as you want, depending on how thick or thin you want your soup to be. So after I've blended everything up and I have everything at the thickness that I want, then I just add some salt to taste. And I don't cook the beans with salt because it makes them tough. So that's something that I prefer to adjust at the end. For the roasted spaghetti squash, I'm going to take this parchment paper and I'm going to put it in the bottom of my air frying basket just because I don't like spaghetti squash sticking to it. So this spaghetti squash has already been cooked. I like to cook several of them up for the week. So I just get it all spread out and put into my air fryer basket. So now I'm going to season it with, of course, you guessed it, a little bit of some garlic salt. And then I'm going to use this pepperoni spice that my friend High Carb Hannah got me hooked on. You guys, it is amazing. It's so good. So I love to put this on the spaghetti squash, and I will link it for you guys in the description box below. I do not have a discount code for them, unfortunately, but it's definitely worth trying. So then I just put it in my air fryer, and then I roast it on 420 to 425 for anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. So I always like to have a snack at night when I'm like relaxing and watching Netflix. So I generally go for fresh or frozen fruit, but lately I've been loving pomegranates, especially since they're still in season. They can definitely be a pain to shuck, but it's worth it. And the rule in my house is if you're gonna eat pomegranate seeds, then you have to shuck it yourself. So nobody's allowed to touch my seeds if they did not shuck it themselves. But I basically just cut the ends off and then cut sections out. That way I can just pull it apart and shuck it in these sections. I'll then grab a bowl and then just kind of pull the seeds out face down. You definitely do not want to wear anything that can get stained because these suckers will stain everything. But they're so good and they're so fun to eat. I love that they're crunchy and they just like pop in your mouth.
Alright guys, that is it for me today. I hope you guys give these recipes a try. Remember to keep it simple. The easiest way to get overwhelmed and just throw in the towel is to try to do too much too fast and make all these fancy meals. When I first started, I was trying to make vegan lasagna and vegan mac and cheese and all of these things that are really good, but they're time consuming and it can get really complicated really fast. So remember to keep it simple. If you're still struggling and you need a little bit more help, make sure you check out our Eat More, Weigh Less program. I will link that for you guys below as well. And make this journey about health and not just about the skinny. I love you guys and I'll see you next time.